Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. So as I'm filming this, it is June 30th at approximately 9 o'clock at night, which is very much so past my bedtime. But I have the overnight shift at work tonight, so I got me a nice cup of coffee. So if you want to pause here, get yourself a cup of coffee so we can hang out and drink our coffee together, I don't mind. I'll even give you a second. Perfect cup of coffee. I even put a little bit of hazelnut creamer in mine. So good. But I thought we would just do a little wrap up of June. So you'll probably see this tomorrow. Maybe it'll be my Friday video. But I feel like Friday's kind of late. It's only the 3rd. I'll probably end up posting it tomorrow if I'm being honest with you. But in the month of June, I read 23 books. So let's just get into the books I read. I'm just going to do it in order from when I read them from like oldest to newest, I guess. So the first one, technically I read the last day of May because I made my wrap up. And I'm like, oh, there's only one day left. I'm not going to have enough time to finish a book. But I finished a book. So that one was My Arc of One to Watch by Kate Stayman London. It was romance. I only gave it 3 stars. And since I have so many books, I'm gonna kind of keep it like real short on the synopsis of each one. But this one was about overweight model who wanted to go on the reality show like The Bachelor, and that's kind of what it was about. It was only okay to me. I definitely preferred like the emails and the texts in the book better than the actual story, but it was okay. Sorry, gotta get this coffee. Then I read another book that I already unhauled because it was okay again. I read The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. It was like a mystery, but it definitely had horror aspects. And I think it was good, and I enjoyed it. It was just that I was expecting more because I'm always hearing Karen Slaughter's name on BookTube, and everyone is always hyping her up. But it was an enjoyable read. It was just not exactly for me. I don't think I was the right audience for it. Then we went from our 3 stars to a 5-star read. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I listened to it on audiobook. It's No Exit by Taylor Adams, and I really want to own a physical copy now, but it was like twist after twist after twist, and it was just like, typically when you read a thriller, you're thinking, oh, there's going to be some kind of twisted reveal at the end, and it's gonna just, whatever, it'll be okay. But no, this had a twist within the first like 3 chapters, and then it was like just twisted and Hi, Jellybean. So Jellybean has to be here again, like always. But it was just like a reveal after reveal after reveal. And, oh, it just kept me at the edge of my seat. It was so good. So basically, you follow this woman who gets snowed in Colorado at a rest area where she finds a child locked in a cage in someone's car. And then you're kind of locked in the rest area with her, with 4 other suspects. And I mean, what would you do? Would you help the kid, or would you pretend you didn't see anything? Or just, oh my god, it was so scary. And I loved it. Then, okay, now we have a physical book. Okay, so for the first physical book I read this month, it was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. So this is like a video game dystopian type future. The man who created the video game, or the Oasis, which is the virtual reality where people go, he passed away, but he didn't have anyone to share his millions of dollars with, and so he left it in the video game. And this is kind of you as the player one going through the video game and learning, how to get to the reward. Plus there's like a love story and a ton of 80s references, and it was just an all-around good time. I think I gave it 4 stars. It was just a really good read. It was very much outside my comfort zone because it's very sci-fi, dystopian. Well, the dystopian part I like, but like a sci-fi futuristic kind of book. It was good though. I enjoyed it. Alright. The next book. Oh, yes. Okay, so this book I've heard really great things about, and I've heard really bad things about. And so you're either gonna love this book or you're gonna hate it. Unfortunately, I am the latter. I hated it. I gave it 1 star, and that is 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. So, I'm 1 season behind on the Netflix series of the same name based on the book. And then they kind of went and ran with it and did their own thing with it, which is great. But the problem with this book for me was that all the blame of Hannah's suicide was put on everyone except her. And yeah, I know that the show kind of does it to an extent, but it didn't feel like, the show doesn't feel like Hannah's blaming every single person. I mean, I guess in a way she is, but the way it's written is just, I could not get into it. And there is trigger warnings for everything under the moon in this book. I'm not really explaining myself very well, but basically, if Hannah makes 13 tapes of why she killed herself, and she hands them out, well, after she dies, everyone gets them. And you kind of are waiting to see what Clay has to do with it because it's from Clay's perspective. And I just didn't understand it all the way. I mean, I guess I kind of do, because when you're in that state of mind, you don't want to have to ask for help. You want people just to notice that something's wrong. But in the world we live in, it doesn't always, work that way. So I don't know. I was very on the fence about this book. I definitely prefer the TV show. I didn't love it. I did not love the book. I wanted to, but I didn't. Let's move on to something better. Okay, I'm just kidding. This next one was a bad one for me too. I think I gave it 1 star, but it might have been 2, so let me see. Okay, so I did give this one 2 stars, but I honestly don't know if it even really deserved 2, but I gave it that. So it's a YA thriller, which you've already seen because I did a versus with this and There's Someone Inside Your House. But this is, and then there were 4 by Nancy Werlin. So it's about these outcasts, kind of friends. They all are in different friend groups, and then they meet up one night because they get invited to this random place as leadership for their school, and then they realize that their parents are trying to kill them after the building collapses onto them, and then they keep getting into these accidents. And I just didn't understand how they knew their parents were trying to kill them. There were parts where there was evidence of someone that they knew trying to do it, which that part made sense, but it was just like right after, oh, my mom had something to do with it. Oh, my mom had something to do with it. It was just, they knew, and it didn't make any sense, and it wasn't really that big of a thriller or a mystery, just because if you read the back, which I did, you'll know that it tells you well, I guess I didn't read the back, I read this part, but it tells you every single thing that's going to happen in the book, and it was just not a good book. I just didn't enjoy it. Then, I'm not exactly sure what book I read after that, so I'm going to check. Oh, okay, so this one was a 4-star book. It was pretty good. The Chalk Man by C.J. Tudor. So you follow these kids in the 80s who find a dismembered body of a girl in the woods near their house. And then 20 years later, you follow one of the kids, well, Eddie. He's not a kid anymore, he has a family of his own, everything like that. And now you kind of follow back and forth, because now in 2012, I think, 2016, he starts receiving these chalk messages that him and his friends used to leave for each other when it was time to go play or go meet somewhere or do something. And it was interesting to kind of see how the two connect from the past to the current time. And I gave it 4 stars. I did enjoy it. It takes you, it's not so much a thriller, but it's definitely a good mystery to read if you're in the mood for a mystery. And then I read another 5-star book, and this author just can't do wrong, in my opinion. So this was Riley Sager's first book. Okay, I guess I can't say you can't do wrong because I've only read 2 of his 4 books. But I actually got one of his books that I haven't read yet. So that one's on my to be read soon list. But Final Girls was Riley Sager's first book. And it plays with the trope of the final girl in the horror movies. Like, you know, after every horror movie, there's one girl that ends up living. So there was Quincy, who survived her mass shooting when all her college friends died at camp. And then there were 2 other final girls who survived their massacres as well. And you kind of follow them as their friendship goes until one day, Lisa is found dead in her apartment, and everyone says that she that she committed suicide. And Quincy doesn't buy it because she doesn't think she'd survive that long just to end it. So it was a really intense, edge-of-your-seat thriller, and the twist at the end, now that I've had time to think about it and stuff, it makes a lot of sense, and you could see it if you paid attention from the very beginning. But I definitely didn't see it coming. I loved this book, and Riley Sager is definitely becoming a favorite of mine. Then I read another YA novel. I read There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. So, if I'm being completely honest with you, this book wasn't terrible. I did only give it 1 star, but maybe that wasn't completely fair. It might deserve 2 stars. The thing is that it's listed as a YA horror novel, and I went into this wanting another edge of my seat, like, ooh, I'm gonna be scared and I need to cover up and hide as I read this type of book. That's what I wanted. But it was a romance with horror aspects. Yeah, and that's all I'm gonna say about it, because I didn't like it. It's not what I wanted. And since we're talking about things I did not like, I finally DNF'd The Third Victim by Philip Margolin. So, way back in January, I read the first chapter of this book. And I said, oh, I love it. It sounds so good. It did, because it was coming from the victim's perspective of running away and getting away from her kidnapper, and I loved that. And then somehow it kind of changed, and it felt like it was more coming from the detective's perspective, and I hate detectives' perspective. So really, I think I ended up getting to, I did not get that far. I think I got less than that. I got to 80 something. Okay, 81, chapter 15. And it took me from January till now, which is, till June, 17th, to finally just, you know what, if I only read 88 pages, then I'm not interested. So I DNF'd it. Then I read a horror novel gave it 4 stars. That was The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. So this is literally what nightmares are made of, especially for parents. This follows Andrew. What's that other guy's name? Hold on. Okay, this follows Andrew and Eric taking a family vacation in the middle of the woods with their daughter, Wynn. And Wynn's playing outside when this guy comes up to her and starts talking to her and trying to befriend her. So Wynn and Leonard become friends, and he helps her catch grasshoppers and everything. And then a few minutes later, 4 other people dressed just like him start walking down their long driveway. And when basically Leonard tells Wynn to go inside and that her dads aren't going to want to let them in, but they have to. The end of the world depends on them saving it. And then from there, it's about like them trying to get in to the cabin, and it's just, it messes with your mind, and it was just so scary. So I think it's listed as a thriller, but there are definitely horror aspects in this as well. But it was 4 stars. I think it was only 4 stars. It was nearly 5 stars for me, though. Then, okay, this one was a cute read that I read for the Throwback-a-thon. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? It's a graphic novel. It was a really quick read, and it was really cute. I gave it 5 stars. It was very nostalgic, just Scooby and the gang, solving mysteries, just like the good old days, and I found it to be really cute. And then this one really surprised me. So far, it's the most surprising book of the year, and that is The Help by Catherine Stockett. So this follows different perspectives from Constantine and Abilene, who are both maids, and then there's Skeeter, who is the white child that that Abilene used to take care of and basically raised. And then Abilene goes missing, and this book is the mystery of what happened to Abilene, but it's also more than that. It's more like what was life like for the colored female, or even just the colored person in general, in the 60s in Mississippi. And it was just very heartwarming. Like, it was sad. It was sad. It made me cry, but it was also really, I don't know, it was just, it taught me a lot, and it was good. I definitely recommend this, which, when I picked this up this month, I did not think I was going to like it. I thought I was going to struggle to finish it. I think I finished this entire book in one day, actually, and this is like 530 pages, and I finished it in one day, which is great. Then, I don't know if I mentioned, I gave it 4 stars, but it really stuck with me, so it's like a high 4 stars. Okay, and then I read Every Day by David Levithan. I gave this one 5 stars. So, this follows someone by the name of A, who I guess, after thinking about it, does not refer to himself as a girl or a boy, but A wakes up every single day in someone else's body. And A is only in their body for 24 hours. But he ends up falling in love with he wakes up in Justin's body, who is the boyfriend of Raylan. And A ends up falling in love with Raylan in that day that A is in Justin's body. But David Levithan wrote this in such a unique way, and I just loved it. Usually I don't do contemporaries or romance, but this was good. This one's gonna stick with me for a while. So I gave it 5 stars. It was worth it. Then I read another thriller, surprise, surprise. It was a 5-star thriller. 4 or 5 stars. I gave it 5, but I honestly think it deserves 4. But that's A Stranger in the House by Sherry LePennon. Okay, I know why I gave it 5 stars. So I gave it 5 stars because of the ending. The twist at the end was so unexpected and so good that I gave it an extra star for that. But generally speaking, this whole chunk, like right in the middle, is not the best. It was like a 3-star book. And then the end happened, and I guess I gave it 2 extra stars because the end was so gripping. The end was so good. But generally speaking, this was a decent thriller. Wasn't like edge of my seat or anything. There were parts that I saw coming actually, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But it's about Karen who she leaves her house and then she crashes her car and she has amnesia and she can't remember anything that happened. But it's kind of the mystery of why she lost her memory and what happened in those couple hours. But the end definitely got me. So it was, I don't know, I can't really say any more without giving anything away, but yeah. Alright, let's see. The next one is a 5-star read. Oh, okay, the next one was an audiobook. It was a 5-star audiobook. And it was nonfiction, which, wow. Nonfiction, 5 stars, it better be good, right? So, I listened to Scruffy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. And honestly, I felt like I was Anna Kendrick's best friend, and like she was telling me all of her secrets and all of her stories about growing up, and it was just a real fun time. I laughed a little bit, and I just felt like she was my best friend in that like 6 hours that she was telling me about herself, and it was just good. I'm a huge fan of Anna Kendrick's though, so if you're not a huge fan of Anna Kendrick's, you might not like it as much. I just loved it because like Anna Kendrick is like your typical girl next door. She seems really like humble and like a really cool friend that if we hung out, like, she wouldn't, like, be like, oh, guess what, I'm famous, and, like, throw it in my face, and, like, that kind of thing. No, she's very, like, chill, or at least that's the persona that I think she is. And so I just really loved listening to her tell me about herself. So for the next book, I read Through the Woods by That's not Through the Woods. No. I read Room by Emma Dunnigan. And this is, they listed it as a contemporary. I kind of listened to part of it on audio because I was having trouble getting into it when I was reading it. But on audiobook, okay, it's about this woman who was kidnapped when she was 19 in college. And then while she was being held captive, she got pregnant and had a son who has grown up in this one room in, like, the shed. And he thinks that, like, they watch 2 shows a day or something like that. And he thinks that the TV is made up. It's, like, make-believe. But when he finds out that that stuff is real, there's really a world out there. Him and his mom come up with a plan to escape. And this is kind of them adjusting to life after the room. And the audiobook came from, like, a little kid's perspective, which was perfect. It worked great. And it helped me get through the book faster. But I definitely loved this. I gave it 4 stars, I believe. Yeah, 4 stars. But I highly recommend this one. Then the next one that I tried to convince you that one was Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. So this one is another graphic novel. And I gave this one a 4 stars as well. So I enjoy the art style, but there are, like, 6 different stories in here, I think. Let's see. I should have better prepared. But, I mean, look at that. That's so cool, right? Through the Woods. So there's an introduction, a conclusion, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stories plus the intro and conclusion. So I really loved the conclusion. It was weird and scary and just amazing. See, look at. But there were 2 stories of the 5 that were just plain weird and kind of too out there for me. That just, I couldn't get into those 2. But since they're graphic novels and they're short, I got through them really quick still. But the other 3 and the intro and the conclusion were really good, really addictive. And it was just a nice quick read. The art style is really cool. It's kind of scary. I wouldn't say the stories in here are, like, super scary. I would say that they get creepy vibes. But they're pretty good. I would definitely recommend this one. I went through quite a few graphic novels this month already. I think I'm going to keep this one and Scooby-Doo, and those are the only 2 I'm going to keep. But I definitely enjoyed this. It was just, like I said, those 2 were kind of weird. Alright. Now, then I went and read An Anonymous Girl by Geir Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. So I read their first novel, The Wife Between Us, last month in May. And I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This one I liked a lot. Maybe I even give it 5 stars. I did, actually. Okay, so I gave this one 5 stars as well. So it follows this girl, Jessica. Yes, Jessica, who goes to this online survey. She has to take it in person at the school, but she does. And it's just, anonymous questions, an anonymous girl. And then those questions turn into like face-to-face with a psychologist. And then it's actually, what would you do if the situation were real? So you make the situation real. How are you going to help? What are you going to do? It was just really interesting, and I loved getting into the mind of Jessica, and I highly recommend it. Then, okay, I have this book. Then I read another contemporary, which was A Dog's Purpose by W. Bruce Cameron. And it was so cute. It was really sad. It made me cry a ton. But I should have known going into it that I would cry because I saw the movie when it first came out. And I loved the movie. The book is just as good. It's basically this dog goes through many lives, and you get to follow this dog through all of them, and each life he has a different purpose. He has a different purpose in life. One of his lives is like a cop. He works with a cop. He's part of the K-9 unit. One of his lives is just to take care of his person. And it's just a really gripping novel. I was sobbing during this. It was so emotional. I gave it 5 stars. So, yeah. Then, okay, the next one I read was another graphic novel, but I'm going to be unhauling it. I did not love it. So it's Miss Marvel, Best of the Best. Sorry. It's just a superhero one. There's like lots of different stories about her being a superhero. I think I gave it 2 stars. It was just not very good. I got it because Jean from Bookish Thoughts really likes it, but I learned it's not really my type of thing. That's okay. We can have differing opinions. We can still be friends. The last 2 I don't physically own, but the first one was an audiobook by Casey West. I read By Your Side. I'd actually listened to it earlier this year, and then for some reason I stopped. And I finally decided to finish it. It was a 5-star read for me. And so it follows this girl who gets locked in a library. And she thinks she's alone, but she's not. There's a guy in there with her. And so she gets locked in the library for the whole weekend with him. And they're like enemies at first. They really don't like each other. And then it's kind of like an enemies to lovers. And typically I don't do romance in my books or contemporaries very much unless they're hard-hitting. This one was not very hard-hitting, but it was just being trapped in a library, enemies to lovers, and it was super duper cute. And then when they finally got out of the library, some drama happened, but it was good. I gave it 5 stars. And the last one I just finished today was Two Like Me and You by Chad Allen Gibbs, which is another contemporary, and I won it months ago, and then me and my friends finally read it today, or yesterday, but I finished it today. It was really good. So you follow Parker and Edwin, who are so adorable. I freaking love Parker. She was so spunky and so cute. I love the spunky characters because I feel like I'm pretty spunky, so I love seeing that in my characters. But you follow the two of them. They like don't really talk to each other. They like aren't friends or anything, and then they get partnered up on this assignment that you have to interview people who lived through World War II, and each week you have to ask them different questions. The old person from World War II that they got wants to go back to Paris to find to go back to France to find the woman that helped him, that saved him during the war, so that he can go and marry her, and like, it's so cute. But there's so many obstacles that the three of them have to get through, like the attorney that doesn't want Garland, the World War II vet, to go back, you know, like he doesn't want him to leave the nursing home. And you know, they're just kids. How are they gonna get him to France without help? And oh my god, it was such a fun adventure. I gave it 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. And I read it on my Kindle. But I don't know what else to say about it. It was so good. This was an extremely long video, and I knew it would be because it was 23 books. And I tried not to go into super much detail, but I know that I went into detail too much. But thank you for hanging out with me. Next time, my wrap-up won't be so long. I'll try and do, like... My problem is that I try to do, like, a end of the month or mid-month and end of the month. But then one month, I won't read enough to do a mid-month. So then I'm just like, I'll just wait till the end of the month. And then it gets crazy and there's too many books. And so maybe I should just start doing like 10 books at a time, regardless of how long it's been. So for every 10 books, I'll do a wrap-up. How's that sound? Give this a big thumbs up if you think that's a good idea. But I'm gonna go. I have to get ready for work because I have the overnight. So sad. Overnight shift. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me.